Alright guys, let's finish checking out the computer system. Now as you can see, this is a 2013 Dodge Challenger. As you can also see, there was fault codes in the TCM. Let me show you what that was. Going to DTC P0741, guys, stands for Torque Converter Clutch Circuit Performance. Okay, so guys, from my years and years and years of experience working on these particular transmission, the only success I've had was to actually replace the torque converter. I know a lot of guys be looking for solenoids and valves and things like that, but I have never had success replacing those such valves. They even went so far as to change the name of those valves because people was replacing those for this code. We ended up, he wanted us to try a transmission service where we take the pan down and replace the filter. Now let's go back over here. As you can see, lightning bolts typically represent flash updates. Now had that been, let's look at what this update wants you to do. It's merely, okay, that's the fault code. Let's go on the flash and let's go on this transmission shift enhancements. The flash is essentially for shift improvement, shift enhancement, and it applies to all these 2013 model vehicles: Wrangler, Challenger, Durango, and Grand Cherokee. We happen to be working on the Challenger. Now here's some of the issues this flash will address. Okay, anything with the Grand Cherokee with the 3.6, all of these, this flash will likely address. What we are working on in particular is the Dodge Challenger with a 3.6. Likely with these cell codes, or this flash wouldn't apply to this car if that wasn't such the case. Now, what this flash will address is poor shift quality using auto stick if your car is equipped with it, erratic shifting complaints while driving up steep hills, transmission shifting does not meet customer expectation while towing. Okay, we're gonna flash it anyway for these mirror updates, but there's no, it will not address the particular code we having a problem with, which is P0740. Now I have already written up an estimate and explained to the customer that I recommend we go in and replace or tear the transmission down. First of all, if I don't see anything out of the ordinary, we likely can succeed with a torque converter and a front pump. But guys, they getting out of the habit of just letting me replace parts. They typically want units. I think a couple of techs done burn them pretty bad on attempting to repair. Everybody's not transmission mechanic, guys. Yes, you can. Anybody can replace a transmission, but everybody not typically fond of diagnosing fault codes relating to transmission. Okay, it's not just because you see P0740 does not necessarily mean, just because the name implies torque converter clutch circuit doesn't always mean you need a torque converter. So a lot of guys will look at the fault code and merely replace the parts associated with the fault code. And with that strategy, the dealership was getting burnt. So they got in the habit of making us just replace it if it's a hard failure with burnt transmission fluid. That's the key word here, guys. Burnt transmission fluid. All right, if it's burnt, that means the transmission once overheated. All right, so like I said, I'm getting ready to drop the pan. I'm gonna take a cold hard look at the fluid and base my diagnosis around that. All right, guys, so I'm gonna take a quick break, guys. By the time I get back, we're gonna be dropping this pan, doing a transmission service, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere. I will be right back. Alrighty, guys, I have it up in the air. Yes, just as I figured. I only figured that because it had a dipstick tube above. Okay, none of the HPs have a dipstick tube. When I saw the dipstick tube, I automatically figured, and a 3.6 dipstick tube and a 3.6, you pretty much gonna be equipped with a nag. Okay, like 98,000 miles, I want to say. I can visibly see that this pan has never been off, guys. I highly suspect the filter is clogged up. Some of the debris that you may find in the pan can come from the torque converter. Now we got the P0740 code, okay, but as I check the fluid in the dipstick, with my dipstick, the fluid is brown, borderline black. Okay, guys, so that tells me There's some restriction slash overheating slash poor maintenance done on this transmission. Now, I can't with good conscience go in and simply replace a torque converter just because I got a torque converter code, guys. You got to get out of the habit of doing that. What I want to do, what I suggested, they let me drop the pan, get a closer look at the fluid. As far as I can smell it and see it, as far as the dipstick go, but I want to see inside the pan, the bottom of the pan. That would tell me a lot more. Okay, depending on what I see would dictate if my estimate will include repair, such as torque converter and pump and things like that. But other than that, guys, I have to recommend a unit because they came down on us about attempting to repair vehicles with, in situations like that. Although it can be repaired, there's plenty of 62 TEs I have gotten away with just replacing the torque converter in the event I have a torque converter code. Now, guys, here's what a transmission service to a nag one consists of. Okay, here's my new filter. Here's my gasket. That's basically all you're doing is taking the pan off. The goal, guys, is to get this out. Okay, I don't know if y'all can see the particles that's inside of here. You really don't want this thing to easily clog up from the debris that comes from inside the trans via the torque converter or the clutch packs. It doesn't matter. Okay, things are going to wear inside, and the filter is designed to filter out the trans so damage will not occur, and this will also help prolong the life of your transmission. Okay, so let's take a look at the trans. Now it's been draining for a good couple of hours, so a little bit more came out. Typically, guys, I will leave these draining overnight to try to get as much of the old fluid out as possible. If you have a little bit of time on your hand and the customer is going to leave the car in your possession, I highly recommend you leave the pan off and let as much gravity bleed out as possible. Now, you're not going to get it all out, especially inside a torque converter, but you will get a lot of it out if you let it gravity bleed overnight. I tend to do that a lot, but I think this customer is coming today, so I have to finish it up. It's still deemed a service, a transmission service. Okay, different between that and a flush. A flush is designed, hopefully, depending on your machine, to get all your old fluid out and go back in with new fluid. The only difference is, guys, you're not removing the pan or even touching the filter. There's a couple of cases where I end up doing them both, guys. The customer want all new fluid and he want a trans filter. Okay, I had to explain to him what that will consist of, and it will also be extremely expensive. He didn't care. So with that particular car, it got fresh 12 quarts. Some cases these transmission hold 12 quarts and a brand new filter. So that, my friend, will really help prolong the life of your trans. Okay, basically from the standpoint of new fluid being in it. Okay, so it depends on how you look at it and how much money you got. But when the transmission start breaking down, clutches start wearing, which is gonna happen anyway, you just do what you can to help prolong it. All right, keep in mind everything has a time limit to it. We all, even the human beings, we all got time down here on earth. Okay, so you don't know when something can happen. So I just said that to say, try to do your part in helping your transmission last as long as possible. All right, guys, I'm gonna finish this service up. All right, so what I'm gonna do is put all this back together. I'm gonna clean this up. It's fairly easy to take the gasket off and replace it. Got a new filter and a new gasket. From there, guys, we're gonna fill it up and go from there, guys. The rest is piece of cake, guys. So next time you see me, we'll be filling it up and going through the computer on some more. We're gonna speak some more on this. All right, stay tuned.